How you doing, everybody? How's everything going today? My lighting system is peaking because it's a cloudy day. Hi, Tony. Dartmouth Alpha. How are you? David. Good to see you guys. Mm. Um, while you guys are getting started, let me ask you something. Um, Hi, HRM. Oh, the video and audio are working. Thank goodness. For right now, anyway. Arnold, good morning. Aldo, neighbor, how's it going? Mr. New Watch that fits better without the tag. Hey, hey, Goldfinger, GGH, good morning. Michael, Amir, good to see you guys. Zinc, Eco, Trap Vision 3D sounds good to me. Let me ask you guys something. This has happened to me a few times. It seems like it's only happened with good watches. It may only be now. It's not only hand wound. It's happened with both hand wound and automatics. Benjamin, and that is that you get your watch and you wind it up either about 40 winds for an automatic or all the way to the top for a hand wound watch, and then it won't start. I mean, you're looking at the thing and the second hand's not going, and you flip it over and you look and the balance isn't going. And what I found is that if I tap it in the palm of my hand a few times, it kicks in. And I was trying to figure out, well, what's going on? And I think this is what's going on. And if you are, a lot of us are pretentious watchmakers like I am, but if you're a real watchmaker, maybe you can give me some insight on this. What seems to happen is that you've got, when you wind it up, the mainspring is pushing a lot of pressure down on the escape wheel, but the escape wheel is locked until the swinging of the balance wheel kicks over the pallet fork and then releases it and then locks it again and goes into that motion. Anyway, just curious if any of you have had that problem before. I think the way to do it is that what I usually do is that I get it and I set it and then I wind it up. Probably what I should do is wind it a little and to get it going, because there's not quite as much pressure to keep it locked. And then once it's going, then wind it up the rest of the way. Anyway, anything on that? Hi, Johnny. Hey, Fernie, good to see you this morning. Lazard, don't sound like a good watch. Actually, Eco, it happens only with my best watches. Okay. It's not a bad watch. It hasn't, I've never had it done with any of the few cheap watches I have. They work fine. My $200 regulator from Hong Kong works all the time, works very well. So it's not a matter of a cheap watch. I don't know what it is, because it only happens with my very best watches. Sounds like a lube issue. Michael, sounds scary first time it happened. Yeah, some other people have. I got one guy I know. He said, "Hey, Bill, my watch is locked up. What do I do?" And said, "Well, just tap it on your palm a few times, and it'll kick in." And sure enough, that's what happened. Dominic, how's my man? How you doing, Dom? Good to see you here. Okie doke. Let me tell you what I guess it sort of dawned on me that the the kind of watches that I sort of talk about as gems, two things are happening. One thing is that the sort of the pool is drying up. Where there used to be a lot of watches that were very good prices, and these are watches like Arm& and Strom. These were under some were under even 5,000. They were a lot under 10,000. Daniel Roth's all were under 5,000, some a lot less than that. And some of the other ones that I sort of go after, the Roger Dubuis. So these are all these really good watchmakers, but they have a certain one of their brands. Some of them, like Daniel Ross, has her own eponymous brand, and other ones, um, just for whatever reason, weren't popular. And then people discovered the quality of the horology and said, "Oh boy, this is really something." So anyway, but I've noticed that two things have happened. The quantity has gone down and the prices have been going up. And so, I mean, at some point, we sort of get locked out. And I was curious of, what may be, and again, this is something looking for really good quality watches at some really good prices. By the way, too, a couple others that one time used to be Parmigiani and H. Moser, back in the day, so to speak, which wasn't too long ago, uh, you could find some really good buys on brand new ones. And the more that has the H. Moser, I think that pool is definitely dried up. I mean, every now and then a used one will come out, but the used ones are pre-owned, won't be a really great deal. So anyway, so I thought, well, now's the time that what we could do is try to discover something that is really good watch that still hasn't either one, of course, if it hasn't been discovered, we have no idea what it will be, but ones that how we'd go about looking for it. I think again, this is me more than anything else, is to look at the movement, who's making a good movement, who is, and but not. I mean, you look at guys like F.P. Jorn, Kari Voutilainen, and just about all of the guys who are in the what's that called? The AHCI, I think it stands for the, some of the independent horological group. Those guys, you know, um, I don't see two things happening. One, they're making sort of enough watches to go around, so to speak. And second of all, there's nothing near affordable. So I'm trying to think, well, how would this happen? How would this come about that suddenly there's some really good watches out there that are decent prices? Oh, yeah, thanks, Johnny. Because I'm talking about them. I oh, that is funny. Um, HRM, thanks about that. Yeah, it's a lever escapement. It can get stuck at one time or another. Carl F. Bushra, yes, that is a good idea. JGH, yeah. Carl Butcher, there may be some real gems in those. In fact, I'm sure there are. Um, I think Christopher Ward shows serious potential. They are actively invest reinvesting into their movement. Okay, good point. Um, I okay. I'll leave it at that. What I guess I'm looking for in Christopher Ward is really a top-notch watchmaker. Now, there may be someone in there, maybe already, the Bel Canto, and then their new one, the what's it called? The new one they just came out with. Um, I forgot the name of it, C12 or something like that. That might be one. I there are companies like Patek Philippe and certain aspects of Cartier, for example, where you can identify a top watchmaker at work for them, or like at Chanel, for that matter. The thing with Chanel, though, Chanel seems to be going two ways. They have their high horology group, and those are not cheap. Boom. Okay, but they're good. And these are with, I'll say, the advice, the help of Romain Gauthier. So that's sort of one. I think that's a good brand to keep your eye on. But then on the other hand, they have uh, Kinesi making the watches for both their J12 line as well as for the Tudor. And Tudor, I don't know. Tudor, I think, is a lot of people have gone for Tudor because they identify it with Rolex. But I think Tudor's pretty good. I think as a brand, and something more affordable, very sporty looking brand, and every different paint jobs from Black Bay that they come out with every year. I don't know. And there's Tim. How you doing, Tim? Hey, I hear they're replacing hamsters on a running wheel for all your Rolexes. Just kidding, Johnny. It's the same thing with food. What? I cook for a living. As something gets popular, the price goes up. And good point. Maybe that's it. It's just sort of like that works like anything when something becomes popular. So what we've got to do is find something really good and keep our mouth shut, especially me. I was like finding something to get excited about. How about Harboring 2? Dartmouth Alpha, absolutely Harboring 2. Harboring 2 is here's a company, they make 200 watches a year. I swear to God, every one of them is perfect. I mean, horologically speaking, that might be, I mean, one to really look at, because here you have a top watchmaker working on it. Here I think is sort of the one of the more interesting dilemmas we will run into, and that has to do with mass production and price. The watches by these top watchmakers, they're all done by hand. The amount of investment that companies like Tag Heuer, for example, Tag Heuer had a thing a few years ago about how they just spent a fortune on this new assembly line that they had created. And okay, so they're going to, run out. They're still using ETA clones, I think, of something in their watches. I don't know. 1,900 euro is a decent price if it's a 1709. Okay. I'm not sure what that is, but that's interesting. Um, can find in Bulgari. Yes, great example. The Bulgari. I agree. That one is, they have, what's it called? The movement that they came up with. Oh, what is that movement? 99 something, I think. 191, I think, is it for the Bulgari Octo. Bulgari is one I would definitely keep an eye on. Um, Another one is Hermes. The fact that Hermes owns a big hunk of Vauchur, I think it tells you something about their seriousness. I've said this before already, but I don't think it's going to come down in price, and that is the high horology end of Chanel. Um, the for two reasons. One, they seem to be making the movements more for women's watches. They came out with the what's it called? The Caliber One. They're great for naming calibers. But I think the other day I was looking at them, and here's calibers 7, 8, 9, and 10, and they. I thought, what? I didn't know about those. They were all women's watches, and they were cool, very cool calibers. So that happens. What are the symptoms of a chronometer needing service? I think they're the same as any other. Usually, what I use as a general criteria is that you stick it on a time grapher and looking at it whether it's going too fast or too slow. Hey, Brandon, how you doing? Brandon, you're the guy that's better help us out here. Uh, and what we need is what's going to be the next really great watch to read all of these really good ones with great watchmakers. That pool is drying up, and so we were looking for who's going to be next on that. So I'd like to hear some suggestions from that. Hi, Isa, how you doing? Bulgari peripheral rotor. Uh, I like peripheral rotors, by the way. I don't know. That could be a good one. I just don't know about that. I wasn't thinking so much of I was thinking of sort of the core movement. Here's the thing about Bulgari that I guess confuses me a little. Nothing nothing wrong that they're doing, but here you have, okay, LV LVHM, Louis Vuitton, Hennessy Morris own Bulgari. Bulgari had set up its own movement making thing, but then they have LVMH has what's it called? The Temps something or other. They have their own movement making arm to it. So La Fabrique do Temps. I think that's the name of it that they have. So is what going to happen with them? Excuse my English. It's my third language. The Look what's happened with Richemont and Val Fleurier. Is Val Fleurier simply sort of a sweatshop for unemployed watchmakers, or is Val Fleurier where you really choose some tip-top guys? I don't know. I have no idea. The movements coming out of there, some of them, like for example, one I think was designed by Carol Forestier Casapi before she left and went to Tag Heuer. I just don't know. Um, Chanel, yeah, Tim, yeah, Chanel owns 25% of FP Jarn. I think the watch companies, put yourself in the role of somebody who owns a watch company. You're making like 5 watches a year. Each watch costs $100,000. So you're bringing in $500,000 or about $1,000,000 a year, something like that. Okay. So, but you only have 4 watches or 5 watches or some low number like that. And you're doing pretty well. Now, the temptation, of course, is that if you can speed up the process of making the movements, because that would be the main thing, and you can standardize certain things like the case and the hands, a few other things like that, putting in different dials so people think you're getting different watches. I don't know. Okay. Hey, we got one from Brandon. Listen to Brandon. He's he knows these things. Caliche Clays has my attention. Um, Behrens on the opposite end of the spectrum. Okay. So I'll have to Caliche Clays. Have to find out about those guys. That does sound interesting. How about Bell? Bell and Ross? Yes, if that's the one I'm thinking of. Is that what you mean, JGH? Is Bell and Ross? Because Bell and Ross is owned by Chanel. This is one to look out for, I think. I was looking at some Bell and Ross watches and wondering, all of them have Solitas and ETAs, I think, for the most part. But then there were certain watches is that they're going along at under 5,000, somewhere around that neighborhood, and all of a sudden, go whump, they really went up. And I'm thinking, maybe Chanel is trying some runs with from their high horology group to see how they land with sort of a more popular guy brand, which is Bell and Ross, which might be one. I think Bell and Ross is one to keep an eye on because if they wanted to, perhaps what Chanel could do is take all of this sort of these really powerful watchmakers that they have working for them with, I think, with the help and the parts from Romain Gauthier and La Chaux de Fonds. That might be something that they say, well, that wasn't too popular. People buying a Bell and Ross, they're not going to spend that much money. But let's say they say, well, now if we could figure out a way to make some of these high horology movements and make a few more of them using the facilities at Bell and Ross, what do you think? I don't know. Possibilities. Okay. These are coming out. German watchmakers, Lazar. Thank you. Johans and Thibault. Okay, that's one that I tell you guys, this is something I think we all ought to look at it and find out. I don't know for sure, but it's sort of fun if you can get some of these watches ahead of the curve. Uh, one, because they're good watches, and two, that the price is probably going to be out of reach, not as an investment, but rather as to get your mitts on a watch before before either one are gone or the price goes crazy. I want Porsche design and Eterna back. Porsche design. I don't know about Porsche design. I guess it'd be nice if they. I don't think they're making their own movements, at least from what I've seen. Then, hi Don J. Parmigiani Calpa you showed is always a deal, especially. Yeah, you're right. They are. They're a great deal. Now they're a little big. If for they're a big watch, but I like big watches, just not too big. I'll tell you a watch that seems to have again gone out of the reach. It was a good buy horologically, but the looks of it and the shape is the Hotlance by H. Moser. What I'd like to see H. Moser do is come out with a really good movement on an affordable watch, something under 10,000. Now I know for a lot it's not affordable, but it's more affordable than starting off at 13,000. Tiffany. I said Tiffany is really interesting that Tiffany hires different people. Patek Philippe, I went to a Patek Philippe thing once, and they talked about the relationship they had with Tiffany. Vacheron Constantin did. More recently, Salita does. So I don't know. I would love to see Tiffany come out with some really cool ones. Nomos. Yeah, Nomos is definitely worth mentioning. Gotta wake up. Nomos would be one that has certain things. What if I forget? They have their line of movements, DMW or something like that, and those are good movements, and the prices are very good. The I would hope that they could stretch their design department a little beyond Bauhaus. So that's sort of looking at, well, how would you like your watch? You want blue Bauhaus or green Bauhaus or black and white Bauhaus? But good watches. Yeah, they're really good watches. Eterna. Okay. We'll take a look at Eterna. Don't want Porsche design back. I want Eterna back and Porsche design ownership. Gotcha. Okay. Something about Porsche design. It was sort of reminded me of this Burberry watch I saw. They slapped their a dial that said Burberry on it, and they expected people to pay a lot for it. I don't think so. Anyway, guys, what else you have? Oh, let's see, Brandon, what else you got? Oh, it's gonna be my mug. Reminds me of the the opening scene of So I Married an Axe Murderer. What have you been watching? I just finished watching a really very good series called, I think it's called Department Q or something like that. Whoa, that was sort of wild. That was sort of fun. By the way, I got a book that was called, that we talked about the other day. It was called Deadbeat Seconds, and it's a book about watches and things like that. I'll give you my review once I get a chance to read it. Hi, Abdul. Yeah. Hi, Mike Watches. Uh, and all metal Swatch System 51. Grand Seiko. Yeah, Grand Seiko, I think they have a lot of great deals right now on watches. They really do. My only thing with Grand Seiko is the same thing I guess I have with Nomos, which doesn't make any sense, is that they seem to be, they have good quality, but there's something that's almost soulless about them. And I know that's a dumb thing to say, but that's the sense I get, is that here you get this watch, watch runs perfectly, everything's going great. And what's the complaint about? I even like the designs. I don't know. Anyway, guys, listen, Rancher isn't here today to tell me it's frying pan time, but it definitely is right now. So I'm going to have to scoot. And thank you. You guys had some great things I never thought of. Brandon, thanks for that. Brandon, going to have to look up. And it was, I'll go wake up my axe murderer wife. Take care, guys.